the perfect son at this hour, accusing the vicious murder of his own mother. But in the last hours, in a surprising twist, Ruth Pine's husband, his father, neighbors, teachers all agree the wrong guy's locked up. Jeffrey Pine, innocent. In the last hours, we obtained that chilling 911 call. Michael Christian, tell me, we've all been saying they've got to have more than this. They've got to have more evidence than this. But you heard opening statements. Are you telling me that the state's evidence is that the son had blisters on his hands and they don't believe his story? He's a handyman, correct?
That's right, Nancy. He works at an orchard. It's an orchard and a farm store. It's a place called Spicer's. And he has these blisters on his hands. Now, according to the defendant, to what he told people at the time, he got them because he was stacking some pallets, some wooden pallets out behind the store, and that he hurt his hands that way. The problem for the defense is that they say that the prosecution says that these don't look like the kind of scrape or splinter that you'd get from working with a wooden pallet like that. These look like the kind of blisters you get from friction.
Let me ask you something, Michael Christian. How many times has that prosecutor, who probably went to some fancy law school, how many times have they loaded pallets?
Well, you know, I can't answer that, but I can tell you that the first two witnesses who testified on Friday both worked at Spicer's Orchard. They said they had handled pallets repeatedly over the years, and they had never gotten those kind of blisters. However, they're friends of Jeff Pines. They clearly were testifying, you know, somewhat reluctantly, and yet they said that they've never gotten those kind of blisters from handling those pallets.
Michael Christian, you know, you've covered a lot of cases. We don't prove murder through process of elimination. That's not how it works. So you can't say, well, there was no forced entry. Nothing was stolen. So it's got to be him. That's not how it works, Michael Christian. Did you hear the opening statements?
Yes, and the prosecution freely admits in its opening, Nancy, that the jury's going to have to pay a lot of attention, that this is a circumstantial case. As the prosecutor said, sometimes some cases are like photographs. You can just look at it and you get the image immediately. He instead compared this case to a jigsaw puzzle, that you're going to have to listen through the entire trial, jurors. You're going to have to see piece by piece by piece. And he promised the jurors that at the end of the case, they'd be able to see the picture, but they're not going to be able to see the picture right off the bat.
Well, Michael Christian, based on what I see, this puzzle is missing some pieces, and this photo is underdeveloped because they have not painted the picture or put together a puzzle that shows murder one. Tell me what's happening in the courtroom, Michael.
We continue to call witnesses, people who either saw the defendant at the very beginning of this entire case, or people who responded to the scene. And again, on Friday, we heard from some people who saw the defendant that day at work.
And they said, well, Michael, I'm a JD, not a DDS. I can't pull teeth. What happened in court? What did these witnesses say?
They said that his demeanor was a little off. They said that the witnesses from work said that he tended to get depressed sometimes when he would talk about his mother at work. So they knew that he had problems with his mother, or at least certainly that his mother had some problems. They indicated that Bernie Pine, Jeff's father, was talking about, according to Jeff, was talking about maybe divorcing Mrs. Pine because when she didn't take her medication, things were very problematic. And that Jeff Pine apparently told them he was worried about what she might do to his little 10-year-old sister, Julia. He said that he and his father could handle his mother, but he was worried about what she might do to Julia, that she might hurt Julia.